Since I was a kid, I've been receiving Christmas gifts from someone named Uncle Gabe. It's always been a mystery to me and my family, because I have no uncle that goes by that name. The presents aren't anything sinister or nefarious. It's just a normal gift that anyone would receive. It first happened when I was about 8 years old. There we were, me and my family sitting around the Christmas tree early in the morning. Everyone all too eager to unravel their gifts. Nothing was out of the ordinary. Me and my brothers received the usual. Presents from each other and, of course, our parents. Envelopes passed out to each and one of us with money inside. A special treat given to us by our grandparents. By this point, we were all playing with our new items, thinking our annual ceremony was over. But that's when my brother Peter pointed out the extra gift. It was shoved behind the back of the tree. We all turned to see what my little brother was pointing at. And sure enough, there was indeed one more gift. Me and my brothers looked at each other, all pondering the premise of who the gift was for. I remember my mother jabbing my dad in his side, asking with befuddlement of where it came from. My father had no answers, and he displayed as much bewilderment as the rest of us. My father approached cautiously and reached his arm underneath the tree. He pulled out the gift, it being a medium-sized rectangular box. My father gestured to my mom for her to hand him his reading glasses. Me and my brothers remained silent, waiting anxiously to see who would receive the extra gift. My father then rushed over to my mother while holding the present. Quietly, he whispered something into her ear, only for her to shake her head in disagreement. I remember in that moment crossing my fingers hoping the gift was for me. I was a bit selfish when I was little. Nothing more would have satisfied me like having one more present to open in front of my brothers. My dad then cleared his throat, and with a bit of a shaky tone lifted the box and handed it to me, telling me it was from Uncle Gabe. "Who's that?" I remember asking. I'm not too sure, son. Maybe he's from one of your mother's brothers?" My father told me, though right away I heard my mother protest the notion. I think my parents were concerned that something inappropriate might have been in the mystery box, but I think they didn't want to alarm any of us, so they reluctantly told me to open it. Being young, I didn't see anything wrong. All I knew there was another gift for me to open, and better yet, the envious faces from my brothers was the icing on the cake. I tore into the perfectly wrapped gift with such a jovial spirit, the sounds of paper shredding fluttering into my ears as my intrigue morphed into pure wonderment. My eyes were fixated on every movement my small hands were making, while my entire family circled around me, their eyes penetrating through the back of my head. Sharp gasps awed out of the mouths of my brothers, because to all of our astonishment, the gift was a brand new Nintendo. The original. And back then, it was a present that was usually reserved for families that had money, which we didn't. It was the whole kit. It came with the NES Zapper, and the combo game Duck Hunt and Mario. A small note was attached inside. The handwriting was poetic, beautifully written, something you would see done by some master calligrapher. "Enjoy Duck Hunt. It's quite the game. Uncle Gabe," it read. I was all too enthralled with the present to notice the argument that was unfolding behind me. My parents debated if this was some mistake. Maybe the gift was for some other family. That something this expensive couldn't have been for us. Right away, my brothers tried to wrestle the box away from me, and quickly we all got into a bit of a scuffle trying to claim ownership over the game system. Finally, my father intervened and told us that we had to share it. He came to the conclusion that this mistake was something his family would benefit from, especially on Christmas. I quickly fell in love with the game, Duck Hunt. Something about holding the small gun in my hand felt natural. I would aim at the screen at ease and take down several ducks without a blink. This was only the start when it came to receiving gifts from Uncle Gabe. The next year, I was sent several Nerf guns, the most expensive ones in the market, the kind that were fully automatic. I was sent several, enough for me and my brothers to play together. As the year prior, it too came with a small note. Practice makes perfect. Uncle Gabe. It remained a mystery, but my father took the gifts thinking it was some error done by a delivery service. Or in his mind, better, it was a mistake by some entitled rich person. He had a bit of disdain for the wealthy, always thinking it was their fault that he had made the wrong life choices. As the years passed, the gifts piled up, each one outdoing the last, at least in cost value, much to my father's delight. All the gifts were accompanied by a small note written by Uncle Gabe himself. By the time I had reached my teen years, I had a collection of video games and Nerf guns, all with every accessory you could imagine. When I turned 15, I received my first BB gun. And if you don't know what that is, it's a rifle that uses pressure to shoot out small BBs. Something that could be considered dangerous if used with malevolent intent. The note that was slithered in between the wrapping paper and box was a bit ominous than usual. Here is when the real fun begins. Uncle Gabe. This is where my father drew the line. The presents went from harmless to mischievous. He didn't want to take any chances at his boys hurting each other. To be honest, I was disappointed. I was all too enthralled in the nature of guns. Practicing with virtual weapons and Nerf ones no longer satiated my hunger. Though, I dare not argue with my father. Instead, I remember waiting for him to throw out my new rifle in the dumpster, only for me to retrieve it once everyone was asleep. This went on for the next incoming years. The present from Uncle Gabe would be under the tree, only showing up on the morning of Christmas. I remember seeing how frustrated my father was. I could practically see the small veins leading up to his eyes burst from anger. No longer was it a simple mistake. Now, it was an intrusion. One my old man didn't appreciate. He once again threw away the present before I even had a chance to open it. My brothers at this point lost all interest in the mystifying puzzle. It really only came down to my parents and me. Like the year before, I had to wait for my parents to fall asleep, and then I went to retrieve the gift from the dumpster. This time it was heavy. I knew right away that this was going to be a good one. As I tore into the gift, I had the odd sensation of being watched. The hairs on the back of my neck stood firm, and I turned in all directions thinking I had been caught. But there was no one. This time it was a welding kit. Something that took me by surprise. It was for beginners. All the essentials were there. A small booth with a welding kit and a few metals. I didn't know what to think. I had never shown any interest in crafting my own metals. So as usual, I opened the small note that came attached. Remember, things aren't always available. Uncle Gabe. I lived with my parents for a few more years before moving to a new city because of work. I remember having to hide the gift from Uncle Gabe before my parents would see it. And much to their thrill, the mysterious gifts had halted, and all reassurance of any sinister unraveling was unbeknownst to them. As I grew into the man I would become, the presents kept coming. And I remember pondering if there would ever be an end. Would the gifts still arrive long after my own demise? Would my kids then receive them? These were questions I wanted answered. I needed to communicate with whomever was Uncle Gabe. I left multiple notes under the tree as if the man himself was Santa, just wanting some explanation of who he was. It was obvious he was not my uncle, but what did he expect of me? I never got a response. I just continued receiving gifts from the man. Some years they were knives with a sharpening kit, and other times they were a bow and arrow. At my age, I was already too engulfed in the idea of weaponry, and even without Uncle Gabe's gifts, I built up quite an artillery. I own several handguns, along with plenty of rifles. If anything, it was because of Uncle Gabe did my fascination with weapons grow. This Christmas was a bit different than normal. As usual, I received Uncle Gabe's gift underneath the tree. I opened it without any hesitation, but the box was empty. Nothing was inside. Nothing other than the usual notes. And this one left me a bit perturbed. It's almost time. Uncle Gabe. What did he mean by it was almost time? Was it almost time to meet him? Why wasn't there no actual gift? The questions almost drove me insane, and a sense of uneasiness invaded every fiber of my body. I didn't know if my family was in danger. I had plenty of ammo to protect them. That's what brings me to today. Me sitting here writing this letter to the outside world, if there is still one. I received one more present from my Uncle Gabe. It wrapped as beautiful as the first one I had received. It's shining brighter than the moon itself. But this time, there was no tree. It was no longer Christmas. Instead, it was New Year's Day. I found it carefully placed on my dining room table. My curiosity bursting through my mind, understanding this was something new. I was a bit hungover from New Year's Eve, my head throbbing and my throat dry. My wife was still asleep. There was no one to stop me from opening this gift. This present that was more mysterious than the first one I had ever received. I tore into the wrapping, shredding it without any concern. Per usual, a small note laid inside. Before reading, I opened the box. The scent of metal inundating my nostrils. I couldn't believe my eyes. It couldn't be what I thought it was. I then turned my attentions to the small note. The words sending chills down my spine. It was simple. It was menacing. It read, "Survive, Uncle Gabe." Hi guys, Happy New Year's. As usual, please leave a comment, subscribe, and like the video if you enjoyed my story. It's a brand new year, guys, and I was actually not going to come out with a video this time around, and I decided to try to write a story at the last minute, and it's kind of a Christmas, New Year's theme story. So let me know if I nailed it, or if not, leave me some nasty comments. That's cool too. Any criticism is well appreciated. Anyway, so hopefully you guys are not too hungover, and hopefully you're ready to start a brand new year. Remember, the past is the past, the present is the present, and the future is a mystery. So whatever you make of it, right? Just know that I plan on trying to do my best to come out with as many stories as I can this upcoming year, but who knows? Life is throwing different things at you, right? So I really appreciate all the listeners that I have built, because I try really hard to write these stories, and I also try hard to narrate, because I'm really not a narrator. I'm just a writer. But I've been told that people like my narrating voice, so thanks a lot. But that's it for now, guys. If you're hungover, stay in bed, listen to my videos. Maybe my soothing voice will help you. If not, I will see you in the next one. Alrighty, guys, that's it for now. Bye.